Welcome back everyone to another episode of Tyler's Fishing Posts, and we are here part 2 of breaking down the Harris chain with you guys. So if you've not seen part 1, go back and watch part 1. I answered a bunch of y'all's questions, and I put out my Instagram story, I did the first video 20 minutes after I asked y'all for questions, and you'll ask me a bunch of questions that I have not answered yet, so I'm going to be answering all of them in this video, and this will be the last part for the Harris chain breakdown with you guys. So let's jump right into it, and we have the very first question: what do you do when you're struggling and spinning out? And this is, applying to the Harris chain. What do you do when you start to struggle and spin out on the chain? For me, I struggle quite a bit when I'm fishing the chain. It can be such a tough chain to figure out and break down. So when you're struggling, when I struggle at least, I just start to flip. I know they're in the grass. There's always going to be fish in the Kissimmee grass. I just flip. I flip. And actually, about a week ago when I was fishing Lake Eustis, it was so tough. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to flip today, and that's all I'm going to do. So I took off my GoPros. I'm like, I'm not getting a video done today. And I just started flipping, and in the first 10 minutes, I catch a 4-pounder flipping. And I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So you'll see a little short video on that in the future of me just randomly flipping and catching a 4-pounder, which was super cool. So when I start to spin out, I normally just start flipping. For you guys though, I think this time of year, just start fishing offshore grass. You're going to catch some fish. You're going to catch some big fish most likely. And if you just get out there and you're struggling, just fish offshore grass with chatterbait, worm, rattle trap, jerkbait, just grind it out and don't stop, and you will catch fish. Where are the best place for shell beds? So the best place for shell beds, I feel like, is going to be Lake Harris. Lake Harris has a freaking ton of shell in it. It's insane how much shell is in Lake Harris. And you can find it pretty easily. The drop-offs and stuff, when you get in the holes and all that, normally there's shell right on the edges of drop-offs that drop off pretty steep. And then there's also shell bars that you'll find out in the middle of the lake that are just kind of you'll see, it's really, really hard to see on your graph, but you'll see the double return on your sonar. If you scroll down where your sonar is at, and you scroll down, you'll see the double return. It'll be really red. I'll throw up some images, I think, if I have them. I might not have any pictures of them, but if I do, I'll throw them up on the screen so y'all can see what a double return is. And that's how you find shell bars, and the best place for them is basically holes. Drop-offs, steep, just that is where shell bars will be at. And there should be fish on them. This time of year, there should be fish on them. I normally don't fish a whole lot of shell bars because I love to fish offshore grass. It's my favorite thing to do. Get out there with a worm, chatterbait. You can catch so many big fish doing it. I love doing that. Next question. Do you think the spawn might be early this year with the front we had in November? I really don't know. I thought it was going to be early a little bit because, we had a front come through early November, and I was like, man, they could spawn if it warms up. We didn't really have a whole lot of fish spawning after that front. There was fish, moving up and making beds, but there was no fish locked on beds, ready to go. I think we will start seeing that in the next week or so out on the chain because it has warmed up. It got really cold. Water was in the 60s. It was pretty cold out, but now it's 80 degrees out here, and I'm definitely kind of sweating. As you can tell, I'm not out on the lake at all. I'm just sitting in the boat, just hanging out. Sorry it's not as good of a background as the last video was, but I want to get this video out to you guys as soon as possible, and I'm filming it the same day y'all are seeing it. So I filmed this video this morning, if y'all are wondering how recent I'm giving this information. So the spawn is probably going down really soon is what I'm thinking. Next question from the same person, Bro Fishing. What is up? What's up, bro? How often do you fish the windy side of Harris? It depends on how windy it is. If it's blowing 10, 20 miles an hour, stay away. I mean, if you've all noticed, I don't have a spot lock trolling motor on this boat, and I hope to change that eventually, but yeah, I can't really fish offshore at all if it's windy or anything like that. So it's really tough to fish when it's windy, but if they're in the grass really good, I'll stay out there and I'll struggle and I'll try to fish the grass. But fishing a brush pile or a shell bar or something really specific when it's windy, I really cannot do. But I'm not really sure how that affects the fishing. I know if it's windy over a period of time, over a few days, it will be really tough to catch fish in that area. But if it's windy one day on an area, I wouldn't really worry about you not being able to catch fish. So like if it's calm one day and then the next day it's windy on the same spot you're catching fish, you should be able to catch them. But if it's blowing on there for like 2-3 days straight, it might be a little tough for you guys. Next question, what lake do you like the most? That's a good question. I used to love Lake Eustis. Like we won, I think 3-4 tournaments in a row on Eustis, like, you know, way back in the day. And Eustis was such a fun lake to fish. You go out there with a little trick worm or a finesse worm or speed worm and you'd catch 50, 100 fish out of Eustis. Believe it or not. Like, it's crazy. You just throw it out there off the grass line, you just slowly drag it. Fish, 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 all day long. And we'd get off the water at like noon. We didn't even fish the evening at all. We'd fish in the morning, noon, and this is when we had the bass tracker. And like some of the early years of this boat, we would catch so many fish on Eustis. But right now my favorite lake has to be Griffin still, because you all saw I did struggle on Griffin, but they're in the grass. If there's fish in the grass, that's my favorite lake. You know, I like, Beauclair is cool and Dora is cool, but there's just too many people fishing there, and I like to stay away from where everyone's at. And there's no one on Griffin, and there's fish in the grass on Griffin right now. So that is my favorite lake currently. So y'all, before we continue on with today's video, I want to say please consider subscribing. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and if you can help me get there, I would be really, really appreciative. And if this video gets 100 likes, I will continue to make videos, and I will not stop posting videos on YouTube if it gets 100 likes. If it doesn't, I'm done with YouTube forever. I'm deleting my YouTube channel to never fish again. So subscribe. Next question, everything about the Dora Canal. Everything? You want me to, everything on the Dora Canal? You know how much, you know how long this video would be if I gave y'all everything I got about the Dora Canal? Oh my gosh. Okay, when the water's flowing, the mouths are, you know, key areas, key hot spots where you can catch a bunch of fish. If you get there first, if you're the first person there when the fish load up the mouth of Dora Canal, you will catch them. But so many people know about it, so many people fish it. I just stay away from there. Like, if I'm lucky and like it's flowing, like, you know, it's not flowing yesterday, but it's flowing today, and I'm lucky and I'm fishing it first, yeah, I'll fish it. But if it's been flowing for the past like week or so, I'm like, don't even try it. There's so many people that fish that area, and of course, yeah, fish will move up in there, and they'll keep replenishing in that spot. But you know, there's too much fishing pressure right now. There's just too much fishing pressure on the chain, and I want to find a new lake somewhere around here because, man, there's so much pressure on the chain right now. And I've got a lot of messages from you guys saying that it's really tough. Water clarity is going down, water quality is going down on the chain. But Dora Canal's good area. I like going there with crankbait, square bill, and then fish the bridges really well because they'll be around the bridges. And if it's flowing, throw a speed worm out in the middle and just drag it, because there's so much, like, there's so many laydowns, there's so much stuff in the middle of Dora Canal. It's really, really good. This time of year, I don't know when they spawn in Dora Canal, because there is fish that spawn in there. Go in there with a frog, go in there with like a light worm or something, and throw it in between the trees and as shallow as you can get, because there is fish that spawn in Dora Canal, and it's pretty epic. I don't think I've ever been in there when they're spawning, but I know they spawn in Dora Canal, and it's pretty cool fishing because you can catch them pretty easily because the water's dirty and they're spawning in there, and you know. Next question, when do the fish spawn on the Harris chain? Good question. That is when it gets cold front moves through, and then it warms up shortly after the cold front, and the water is like really, really cold. It warms up a little bit, water goes up a little bit in temperature, so it's like in the 60s this past week. It's going to get probably back up into the 70s if it stays like this. That is when they're going to spawn. Like literally this week, we could see a bunch of fish spawning this week. So that is when you know to fish the spawn, when it gets really cold and it gets warm again. Go up and down the canals, main lake stuff, if you can find them on the main lake, and you will find spawning fish. And it's really awesome on the chain because there's so many big fish on the chain. Like, you go up and down canals, you're for sure going to see like 5-pounders spawning, and then if you get lucky in a canal, you could see an 8+, 10+ pounder on a bed in insane. So before we jump into the rest of the video, I want to say a huge shout out to Mystery Tackle Box for sponsoring today's video. I'm so sorry guys, I have not done a Mystery Tackle Box video in a while. I've been really busy doing saltwater fishing and just kind of like, you know, changing from saltwater fishing to bass fishing. You know, it's really hard to plug a bass fishing box when you're fishing saltwater. But if you want a box of premium baits to show up at your doorstep every single month, then click the link at the top of the description and you can get $10 off your first ever Mystery Tackle Box. I do love it. There are some really awesome baits in these boxes, and they're specific for each month and different fishing. So if you want to support the channel and go get an awesome box for yourself, then click the link at the top of the description. I'd appreciate you guys so much for that. And Mystery Tackle Box, Box. Go check them out. They're premium baits. I love them. I fish with them. I need to do more mystery tackle box challenges. If this video gets 100 likes, I will do a mystery tackle box challenge video in the future. So consider liking the video, and let's jump into the rest of the questions. So stay tuned. What baits are hot on the chain, or at least always reliable? I've always had no luck. I'm sorry about that, man. I'm sorry you've always had no luck. I mean, the chain is very, very tough to figure out, so don't be discouraged. Don't put yourself down. It's a very, very difficult chain to figure out. And yeah, you know, I fished it my whole life. If you're all like, man, Tyler's so good on the chain, this is my entire life I have been fishing on the chain. So that is why, you know, I'm pretty decent. Man, it's starting to rain. So that is why I'm like somewhat decent on the chain, because I've had so much experience on it and that. So it's not like overnight I knew everything there is to know about the chain and I got really good at it. It's just years and years and years of fishing it. So most reliable bait, I have to say rattle trap. I feel like you can catch them on rattle trap year round. I feel like when it's cold out you can catch them. When it's warm out you can catch them on rattle trap. They're always feeding on bait. Rattle trap is go-to bait in my opinion. Along the Kissimmee grass lines, that is your best bet right now, I feel like. And if you find any grass, just rip it through the grass, rip it through the grass. I would say a worm, but just like there's some days you cannot catch crap on a worm. Like, it's terrible. And I normally don't fish with a rattle trap. I normally don't, but I feel like that is a really reliable bait you will catch fish on. But a worm right now is just so bad. Like, I don't understand it. Like, the chain used to be like worm heaven. You could just throw a worm all day and, like I said, catch 100+ fish every single day in the same exact spots on a worm, on the same worm too. It's insane. So the same person asked, next question, what spots close to Lake Eustis or just on the chain that always produce and or is reliable? I don't know, Dead River. Dead River's a good key area, like mouth of Dead River, there's like shell, there's grass right out the mouth of Dead River. Dead River is a good key area if you're looking for somewhere that's close to Harris and Eustis. Dead River, it's in the middle. Yeah, Harris and Eustis, there you go. Dead River is a good location. I really like fishing there. I've caught a lot of big fish there. It's a really, really cool area. Next question, key target areas and key baits. Okay, key target areas would be, right now, I feel like coves that have like grass offshore, so offshore grass in coves, and in the coves have canals. So that would be a perfect, ideal spot to be catching a lot of fish. So you have the offshore grass, they'll be in the offshore grass, they go up to spawn, they move back off into the offshore grass. Really good areas like that. A lot of like FLW tournaments, like when it used to be called FLW tournaments, when they were here fishing, like year after year, that's where it would be won, was like in different coves of like grass. They would catch them in grass, and then they would go up in canals and catch them in canals. So that's a really good key area if you're looking for key areas, but it doesn't have to be a cove specifically. It can just be a bunch of grass out in front of canals. Like, that is a really good area as well. And if you can find clean canals and find a bunch of grass out in front of like cleaner canals, then you have found something really cool, and you could potentially be looking at a winning bag in those areas, is what I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm just kind of like, you know, giving y'all what my thoughts are right here. So we have one last question. I know a lot of you guys asked me questions in DMs. I will actually answer one of those questions because y'all had a really good question that you messaged me. But like, I'm just literally going off of my Instagram story, y'all's questions there. Second last question, is there any hard bottom on any of these lakes? Yeah, so Harris has really, really good hard bottom, and so does Eustis. Eustis on Lakeshore Drive side, I think that's like a really good key area, because just basically all down Lakeshore Drive is really good hard bottom. North end of Eustis though, it's really crap bottom, it's really terrible. Up around Gator Hole, not really good bottom as well. And Haynes Creek, I think once you start, if you're coming out of Haynes Creek on the Eustis side, you will start to see some hard bottom areas once you get closer to like kind of Dead River. Like in between Dead River and Haynes Creek on Eustis, there is some really good hard bottom areas around that as well. But Eustis used to just be full of grass. Like probably 4 years ago, used to be full of grass, and all the areas that had grass in it, like really, really abundant grass, it got sprayed, it died, it deteriorated on the bottom, and just made the bottom super, super like muck bottom, really gross, really nasty, not good stuff, because literally the north end of Eustis was just all grass, and it was epic. It was like the best fishing ever, and it all died, and now the north end of Eustis kind of sucks. It might be good for flipping, might be good for spawning in the canals, but other than that, it kind of sucks. So I'm going to go over to the DM one of y'all sent me which was a good question, and I'm like, oh dang, I'm like, okay. So let me see here, let me see. So this person asked, from watching yesterday's video, I guess it was yesterday's video. Yeah, it did go up yesterday. Hey man, I just got done watching your Harris chain breakdown video in preparation for a tourney next week. I was wondering, when you say grass in Dora, Beauclair, do you mean offshore grass or just flipping grass? I'm so sorry, I did not specify what grass I was talking about. I'm talking about offshore grass in Dora and Beauclair. Dora does not really have a whole lot of offshore grass. There is some areas that are really, really good. There's some areas that are pretty good on Dora that I had a lot of success on. And Beauclair is literally just all grass. The entire lake of Beauclair is just grass. And it can be really good because you literally just got to go out there and fish. You can graph. You could possibly find some good areas graphing, but fishing will never let you down. Like if you just go out there and fish and you catch one fish, put your power poles down, put your spot lock on, stay right there. There's a school of fish in that area. And it's super easy because you go out there, you fish, catch a fish, stop, keep fishing, you're going to catch more fish because there's schools of fish in that grass, and it's pretty awesome. And he also asked, how long does it take to get from the Leesburg boat ramp on Harris to Dora? Okay, so that is a good question because I know a lot of you guys are running from there. I'd say maybe just under an hour in the morning. Take just under an hour to get there in the morning, and then on the way back I would plan for, give yourself an hour and a half of time, because pontoons like going up and down Dora Canal constantly, and you will get stuck behind a pontoon going dead slow. It is torture, and it'll eat up a lot of your time. It could take 30 to 30 minutes possibly to get through Dora Canal, even though Dora Canal only takes about 15 minutes or so, I'd say. But yeah, just plan. Give yourself a little extra time going back to weigh in, because you could get stuck behind a really slow pontoon, and that could ruin your tournament. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to smash the like button and consider subscribing. We are on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and I'd really appreciate it if you could help me get there. If you enjoy awesome videos, fishing the chain, bass fishing, pond fishing, doing whatever fishing we possibly can, I got some really cool trips planned, so consider subscribing. Hit the bell. I appreciate you guys so much. Good luck on all your tournaments. I hope this information helps you all out. Let me know in the comments if you have any more questions. Message me on Instagram, and I will get back to you with that. And thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck with all your tournaments, and I'll see you all for another episode of Tyler's Fishing Posts.